On Salish Air, Clarice decided that she wanted to redesign the window screens when she had to replace them because they were wearing out. Her goal was to make window screens that were easy to store and could be left in place while the windows were opened and closed. This is what she came up with after multiple tries, and she's kind of proud of them. They worked out pretty well. The basic materials we used were Sunbrella and quarter-inch kite tubing. This is carbon fiber kite tubing that we bought at Seattle Fabrics, and 1/8-inch stainless welding wire. The top of the screen is held in just by the overlap of the windows. It slides up between the two pieces. The corner bottoms are held in place by clips made by welding the welding wire that was bent into a left and right little shape, as you see here, and then held in with the screws that are already holding the window frames on the 46. Clarice first, after multiple trials, came up with a pattern she was pleased with. Now the pattern here, the cutting board underneath has 1-inch squares on it for sizing. She also has not put on the seam allowance, so she adds a 3/8 inch seam allowance around the edge of this, and she found that using a cutting wheel that the corner radiuses, using one of the, I think they're 6-inch bowls in our Corel set, made a very nice guide for the radiuses of the two lower corners, using the quilt cutting wheel to cut this umbrella with. She also had to cut 3, make that 4, 1.5-inch wide strips, and those hold the kite tubing in around the edges to hold it stretched out. In our early trials, she tried to get the kite tubing, she tried to use a hem all the way around and slid the kite tubing through it. Getting the radius right for the windows never worked. For the top kite tubing that goes up between the two windows, we found that the kite tubing isn't stiff enough. So for that one, we actually ran a piece of welding wire all the way through it. It fits nicely through the center hole, and then bent the edges to hold it. But that gives it just enough stiffness to hold up at the top. Then you end up with really 2 pieces of kite tubing, one U shape that goes around the whole bottom 3 sides, and then the one straight across the top, and then that welding wire that goes through the top is bent 90 degrees and makes the corners at the top two sides. So when you look at it from the inside, this is what you see. And again, she originally made it so that those corners went all the way around with the having fabric on them, and it was just impossible to get a perfect radius for the corner that fit every time. So she ended up going to this system where she makes the tubes of Sunbrella and then lets the corners loose a little bit, and that seems to work a lot better. So this is what it looks like as it's being put together. The 2 pieces of carbon fiber kite tubing, the third top piece, and it's all ready. All she has to do is slide that top piece through the top tube and then slide them in. She did develop a trick where she didn't sew that top tube in place all the way until she actually had the carbon fiber in place. And once again, this is what it looks like when it's completed, and she's now got almost all 6 of them done, and we're looking forward to having really nice cross ventilation. And so far the bugs have been completely repelled by them.